all for her.
Yeah.
Um,
And that
so,
kind of goes into number three, which is researching your competition. So it's like when you're looking at the problems you're solving, you're also getting acquainted with who your competitors are and if you could do it better than them or if they're doing it better than you or how you can change up the industry or the niche that you're going into. So yeah, one of the things they mention is just like being transparent, I think helps you stand out in your
mhm.
competition because other people, especially now with social media and everything else, which we talked about in our last episode, that people love transparency. They want to feel like they know you. They want to feel like they're involved and like part of your world. And especially working from home, like I mentioned last time, like no one knows you're working.
Mhm.
Like we used to work in an office together where everyone knew, like, yeah, we're in it, but now we don't. So I think it's even more of a reason to share on your platforms, like, hey, this is me working, this is me in my zone, and I think it brings people in to like your craft and your passion and your business and everything else. So
Right. Which I think is interesting because I feel like the market used to be, well, I feel like a lot of people know this, but you know how it was like a product based market. And then it turned into an experiential market. But now you are the brand. People want to see you. Um,
mm-hmm.
so it's interesting that like before someone would buy something just because of the branding and then just because of the experience and then now they buy just because I'm talking about it. It's like
Right.
so interesting to me. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
see what's next. I mean, what where can we go? Like is my cat going to be the brand now? So
Right.
um so I think I guess just on the note of transparency is I feel like especially yeah, she was saying right now, I mean, well, I think that goes into even the first number one, where it should be something that you care about or are interested in at the
Yeah.
very least, because now you are talking about it. You can't hide behind great billboards and or you're gonna
Right.
be on that billboard too, holding it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's definitely something to get used to, and I feel like we're still transitioning and getting used to that. Because I feel like we started our stuff before the transparency thing became super big.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it takes like you have to feel comfortable sharing so much, and I think that's something that we're not used to. Like even before when we did work in an office environment, we were just sharing with people we saw every day, and even that was like an organic transition because it was probably like a month into that job we then started sharing more, or maybe only with certain people, not with everyone.
yeah,
So now we have to just completely break all that and just say I'm going to share with anyone that might see this, whether I've met them in real life or not, which is crazy. Um, but I think it helps you also just like fine tune what you share and like only share what you think might be valuable or help your business or help your brand or just kind of like help your community. Whereas before at work, you might have just shared gossip or just shared something that happened yesterday that didn't even matter.
it's so interesting because it's like people want to see you in your natural habitat, but when you're at work, which is kind of how you are when you're working on your business, right? It's like you're not going around cursing up a storm, talking about really sensitive topics at work. And but now that's supposed to be this transparent thing, people don't care what you talk about technically, right? You're supposed to be super, the more open you are, the better. But what if I'm
Yeah.
like not that vulgar of a person? Or what if, you know, I don't want to be seen as someone who just, I don't want to be categorized or judged based on the sensitive topics that I talk about. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, even though maybe I have thoughts about certain things, but before you could like kind of channel it through certain crowds, but it's not about hiding what you're thinking, but I'm like, should we be just saying everything? That's going to be a future topic in a couple weeks, but
Yeah. Cuz I think what's interesting too, I don't know, I actually thought about this recently where in regards to transparency and kind of just like looking at your competitors, like when I see other Instagrams and businesses and business owners or brands sharing more, you feel even if you've never met them, you now feel like you met them. Or
Right.
I don't know, or like it's like when you watch a TV show, like you might watch it one day, but now that visual stayed on your mind. Or like in a week, you can still play back that visual of them saying whatever it was on TV as if it happened yesterday. And I feel like media or social media has like the same kind of relationship with ourselves, where like because we see it, it stays on our mind, and therefore it did something, like whether good or bad, like it did something. So yeah, I mean, the content is what will decide if it did something good or bad, or like if you liked it or not. There are people that I have like unfollowed because they've shared too much stuff. There's people that I have stayed following even if I'm like not a huge fan, just because they shared a lot and like it meant a lot or it was valuable in some sense to me. So I feel like it just kind of depends on the person too, and like what they look for when they follow people. But I don't know. I think ultimately, like, there's also this thing that happens whenever you start sharing more on social media, where some people probably will unfollow. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to see all this about them, or I don't care about this thought or this process. But then I think in time, you do start attracting the people that do want to hear it or do want to be a part of your community. So I feel like there's this like leveling out that happens when you kind of transition into sharing more. Because like for me, I mean, now I just talk about acupuncture. I guarantee 90% of my friends don't care about what I say about acupuncture because they might not be into acupuncture. But I guess I made a decision where I was like, you know what? I want to try to attract more people that have like similar conversations or look for that in what they talk about.
And I think it worked.
And so far it's worked. I also didn't have a ton of friends, so it's not like I had people to lose. But I guess for me, it made me feel better because now I feel like I'm adding value to whatever I share because it's something that people might be able to learn something from, which ultimately, like, social media is a tool. We have to remember that.
Yes, that is another
and
episode.
It's like, what are we using the tool for? So,
which I think is important because at that point,